Alright, so we're going to solve equations with rational expressions. And in this case, we have a lot of denominators. So this is not a proportion. We have multiple fractions here. So what we want to do is we want to identify the least common denominator and then multiply by that. So the least common denominator, we're first going to need to factor. So we have 5x, that's 5 times x. We have x plus 3, that's a binomial, so I put that in parentheses. We can't split that up. And the 4x squared plus 12x you can actually factor. We can factor out 4x, which is a common factor, and we get x plus 3. Okay, so we have 4 times x plus 3. So we can use some colors to make sure we know what we have here. So x minus 3 has got to be in that denominator, and x has got to be in that denominator. And then we have numbers. We could put numbers together to get something that's going to work. So our LCD is actually going to be 5 times 4, which is 20. 20 is going to get rid of the 5 and the 4 when we divide them out. We're also going to need to have the x, because every denominator would need the same one. And we're going to have x plus 3. So this is our LCD. What we have to check, so you could check this at the beginning of the problem or at the end of the problem, you have to identify the extraneous solutions. When you have a rational equation with fractions and variables in the denominator cannot be 0. So we can check right now, since we have the LCD, what x is not able to be. X cannot be 0 because that's going to make that part of the denominator equal to 0. The other number x cannot be is negative 3, because if we plug negative 3 in, it's going to make that part of the denominator equal to 0. So when we solve this, as long as our answer is not 0 and it's not negative 3, we should be good to go. So we're going to take our original problem and we're going to multiply everything by this LCD. So 20x x plus 3. That's going to be multiplied by the 1 over 5x minus 20x x minus 3. That's going to multiply by 1 over x plus 3. I wrote that wrong. There you go. And then that is equal to 20x x plus 3. Might as well sing it while you're doing it, right? And that's going to be 1 over 4x x plus 3. All right. So now that everything's written, we can have fun and start canceling stuff out. So I'm going to do the right side first. The x plus 3 is going to cancel. So remember, this is over 1. So we're looking at numerators and denominators to divide things out. The x's are going to divide. And now I'm pretty much left with 20 divided by 4, which is 5. Going in the same direction, that middle term, the x minus 3's are going to divide. So I'm left with 20x. That's being subtracted. And the last term, the x's are going to divide. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4. And then I still have that x plus 3. And now we have a basic linear equation that we could just barrel through and finish this out. 4x plus 12 minus 20x equals 5. Negative 16x minus the 12. So negative 16x equals negative 7. And if we divide by negative 16, we get 7/16. So I know that's the answer because I've already checked my extraneous solutions. 7 over 16 is fine. It's going to work. It's not 0. It's not negative 3. So that's my answer. So I'll do one more problem, kind of go through the motions. Feel free to pause this and practice this problem to make sure you understand what's happening. So first thing we're going to do is find that LCD. So our first fraction denominator we can divide, and that's going to be x plus 2 times x plus 3. Our second fraction, we can simplify that denominator, take out a 4, so it's 4 times x plus 2. And our third denominator is just x plus 3. Alright, so let's use these colors. We have x plus 3. That has to be in our LCD. We have an x plus 2. That has to be in our LCD. And then we have a 4. So there's our least common denominator. 4 times x plus 2 times x plus 3. In terms of our extraneous solutions, denominator cannot be 0. So x cannot be negative 3. X cannot be negative 2. Any other number that we get as an answer is going to work. If we get one of these two, then we're going to need to change it. So now we're going to take our LCD and we're going to multiply everything. So x plus 3 times x plus 2 times 4. X plus 3 times x plus 2 times 4. X plus 3 times plus 2 times 4. All of those go over 1. And now we could just start canceling things out. So starting all the way on the left, the x plus 2 divides, the x plus 3 divides, and we're left with 4 times x minus 5. That's a binomial, so you want to make sure you always use parentheses if there's addition or subtraction and you're including multiplication. The second part, the 2's, x plus 2's are going to divide, and the 4's are going to divide. So we're left with 4 times x plus 3. And this last fraction, the x plus 3's are going to cancel. So we actually have 4 times 5, which is 20, times x plus 2. And again, this is just a simple linear equation that I'm going to go through and solve. Minus 20, 4x plus 12 minus 20x minus 40. So I'm actually, let me write all this out. 4x minus 20x is negative 16x, and that's negative 28. So we'll add the 16x to the left. Get rid of it on the right side. We'll add the 20 to the right. Get rid of it on the left side. 20x equals negative 8. And when we divide by 20, we get negative 8 over 20. But that can be reduced. So you always want to reduce your fractions. You divide by 4, you get negative 2/5. And again, I already know this is the answer because I did the work ahead of time. And I know it can't be negative 3, it can't be negative 2. Any other value I get is going to work. And there we go. That's how you solve equations with rational expressions.